So guys, it's that time of the week again and we are back for our championship score predictions. Let's jump into it. So welcome back to another video on the channel, guys. As always, if you want to get involved in the prediction league, make sure to get your score predictions in the comments down below. We've got a lot of interesting ones coming up this week, so I'm interested to see which way you guys are going for it. If you're going to enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Before we do hop into anything though, make sure to go ahead and download the new OneFootball app. You can find the link of that in the top line of the description down below. Really handy football app to have, especially with all the football that we've got going on around the footballing world at the moment. In the championship especially, it's every midweek and Saturday at the moment, so it's absolute carnage. Things can change in the league just like that, so if you want to keep on top of everything, get live updates to your phone whenever a goal goes in, and read up on all the latest news articles, OneFootball is the place to be. It's how you stay in touch. And before we do head into my score predictions, I will include your guys' score predictions on screen now, so fair play to everyone who did get one correct for the midweek set of fixtures we had. I managed to get one of mine spot on. That was Watford 2, Rotherham 0. But some big shout outs need to be given to Isaac Buck for being the only person to correctly predict Preston 3, Middlesbrough 0, and to Jaden FC once again, who was the only person to correctly predict Bristol City 1, Blackburn 0. If we take a look what that means to the main prediction league to the side of me, we got a bit of movement, especially in the bottom half of the table. It is still Juvest FC who is leading the way, pulling away a little bit as well. A big game week with 10 points for him. And then to the League One table to the side of me, we've got quite a few new entries coming into this one. It's currently Liam Thomas who's closest to sneaking into that main prediction league. But without any further ado, guys, let's hop into this one. And so we'll start out with the early kickoff on Saturday, and it's a big one. We got Cardiff going up against Swansea now. Both sides have met at an interesting point this season. Now, if this game was a few weeks ago, I'd have probably been back in Swansea for this game, but Cardiff have pulled out this form out of absolutely nowhere when Neil Harris was in most need of a result. He's picked up 4 on the bounce, 4 successive wins for Cardiff. They've really managed to shift around this momentum, and a really impressive win in midweek, by the way. Coming from a goal behind against Stoke, I think that penalty that Stoke missed, Alex Middy's save, was a big turning point for momentum in that game. But if Cardiff win this match, they'll only be 1 point behind Swansea in the league, which sets this one up to be quite the interesting one. Now, both teams have been keeping things very tight at the back. Each side has kept 4 clean sheets from their last 6 matches. Currently, Swansea have the best defensive record in the championship, only conceding 10 goals so far this season. But Cardiff aren't too far behind that. They've currently got the 3rd best defensive record in the league, only conceding 14 goals this far into it. It's a game where, to be honest, there's probably not going to be all too much goal mouth action. It may be a bit of a feisty one, which is contested heavily in the midfield, but in the final third, good chances may be few and far between. Last season we saw only 1 goal scored in this fixture. It was a goalless draw they had at Cardiff, and then obviously Swansea won the other game by 1-0. At the moment, I really can't separate these two sides. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw and sit on the fence a little bit, whereas Fife is backing Swansea for a 2-0 away victory. Next up we go to St Andrews as Birmingham take on Watford. Now, an interesting matchup. Both sides put in good performances in midweek. Watford beating Rotherham by 2 goals still, and Birmingham with a really impressive away performance, beating Reading. John Terrell being the star man of that show. But it's an interesting fixture because Watford's away form so far this season hasn't been the greatest. You know, propping them up the table at the moment really is their home form when they've, you know, put some teams to bed so far this season. But away from home, things haven't quite clicked for them. They've only won 1 match away, and in the process of those away matches so far this season, they've only actually scored 3 goals. They failed to score in 3 of their last 4 away matches, and Birmingham are a side who do like to keep things tight at home, and I don't know if there is something in it, but Birmingham do tend to be a little bit better. I think their game plan works a little bit more against those sides above them a little bit. So Birmingham, I think, will be a really stern test for Watford in this one, and to be honest, with how Birmingham went in midweek, I wouldn't be at all surprised to see them nicking a point from this one. I'm actually going to say that this one's going to end as a 0-0 draw. Both of Watford's last 2 away matches have been goalless draws, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see this one following in a similar fashion. I'm going to go for a 0-0. FIFA saying it'll be 1-1. Next up we then go to Ewood Park as Blackburn face off against Norwich in what should be quite an open game. I'm expecting some goals to be scored in this one. Now, Blackburn, not the greatest in midweek. They lost 1-0 against Bristol City, but one player who really stood out to me was Harvey Elliott. He created more chances than anyone else during that midweek game week. 9 chances created. It's like he's playing on a different wavelength sometimes, but his ability to pick out the striker like Adam Armstrong from a deep position where there seems to be nothing on is absolutely fantastic. And Blackburn, to be fair to them, have been in the middle of sort of a difficult run of fixtures. They've recently played Millwall, Brentford and Bristol City. 4 points from those games isn't the worst return in the world, and after this Norwich game, their fixtures do ease up a little bit. But Norwich is going to be a tough one, currently sitting top of the championship and with a depleted squad at the moment as well. Now, the benefit that Norwich have is some of these injured players are starting to regain their fitness and get their way back into the starting 11. Obviously, Todd Cantwell, we saw saw come off the bench in that game against Forest at the weekend. There was maybe a bit of fortune with that winner in the end that took the deflection, but Norwich created a lot of chance in that one. They had Jordan Hugill on the bench, Kieran Dowell as well, so all these players back in contention will only go on and help Norwich going forward this season. In terms of a score prediction, I do see goals being scored. I'm just going to edge Norwich for this one for a 2-1 away victory, with FIFA saying it'll be 2-1 Blackburn. Should be a good game. Next up we then got Bournemouth going up against Huddersfield. Now Bournemouth have been quite strong at home so far this season. They average around about 2 goals scored per game, so they're going to put Huddersfield to the test in this one, and it is quite a depleted Huddersfield squad at the moment. It was a good result for them in midweek, beating Sheffield Wednesday by 2-0. This was just when they seemed to be picking up some real momentum for their season, and they've suddenly hit a bit of a brick wall when it comes to injuries. The biggest one is of course Josh Koroma, who could be out for up to 3 months with a hamstring injury. A real shame for him. This was his real breakthrough season, and undoubtedly for Huddersfield was their biggest attacking threat going forward. You know, I'm sure that when the opposition are lining up to go up against Huddersfield, Koroma's half their team talk at the moment in terms of how they're going to try and stop him. So for him to be out for that amount of time, that's a massive blow for Huddersfield. There's no two ways about it. Defensive injuries aren't looking great for them as well. They've got Tommy Elphick, Stearman and Schindler, who are all out injured at the moment, so they're looking a little bit light in that area as well. I think that Bournemouth may take advantage of that fairly depleted Huddersfield squad for this game. We're going to go 2-0 Bournemouth for this game, with FIFA saying it'll be 1-0 to the home side. Next up we then go to a big game in Derby season as they face off against Stoke. Now Derby unbeaten in their last 4 matches, back-to-back clean sheets. It was a good result for them in midweek, I thought, a point against Brentford away. Clean sheet in that one with the goalless draw. The blow they suffered from that one was the injury to Curtis Davis. Hopefully that one's not all too serious, but they're going up against a Stoke side where it might not be the worst time in the world to be playing them. When Stoke were at full strength, I think they're a really good side in the Championship, but the injury list for them, like a lot of other Championship clubs, is really starting to pile up now. Obviously we all know the goalkeeper situation there, which isn't the best at the moment, but the spine of that squad's really missing for them at the moment. And to add to that, Tyrese Campbell went off injured in midweek in that defeat they had against Cardiff. The Cardiff game was a disappointing one from the outside looking in. The penalty looked to be a bit of a game-changing moment, the penalty that Stoke missed, that is, and obviously in the second half the performance levels just seem to really drop off, and hopefully the injury to Tyrese Campbell isn't all too serious, because I mean this has been his real breakthrough year. He's been an absolute star of the Championship so far, but sometimes you just get a bit of a gut feeling about a result, and I feel like Derby may just end up pulling something out of the bag in this one. I'm going to go 1-0 Derby, and FIFA's going to say the same. It'll be an interesting one to see, won't it? Next up we then go to Luton up against Preston. Now Preston put in midweek probably our best performance of the season so far, definitely our best home performance of the season today. It was 3-0 against Middlesbrough. To be honest, with some of the other chances we had, it could have been even more than that. Going forward we were ruthless, and it was about time really, and the likes of Brad Potts, Ryan Ledds and Scott Sinclair were all really impressive, but the cameo from Emile Reese coming on from the bench, got a goal and an assist in the last sort of 10 minutes of that game. That will do his confidence the world of good, especially after the chance he missed at the weekend. But going up against Luton, I'm not anticipating it to be an easy game. Both sides have been fairly matched so far this season actually, both sitting next to each other in the table on 23 points each. Now Luton at home also don't tend to lose all too many football matches. They keep things fairly tight. The last game they had at home was that really impressive 3-1 victory they got over Norwich in midweek. It was a goalless draw against Coventry. It will be quite an open game, I expect. Both midfields will look to try and get on top of this one. Both teams play with quite a lot of energy. It's been a while since I backed Preston for a victory, so I think I may do it for this one. I'm going to go 2-1 to North End. We do still sit top of the away form table in the Championship, so that may still play into our hands a little bit, but I'm interested to see how the Luton crowd affects things. I'm going to go 2-1 Preston though. FIFA's going to say it'll be 1-0 North End. Next up we then go to Middlesbrough up against Millwall. Now something tells me that this probably isn't going to be the most entertaining game going on this weekend. Millwall, who are now without a win in their last 9 matches, they've been sliding down the Championship and now find themselves in 17th position. It was just a few weeks ago when they were challenging up and around the top 6, but they need to sort out this goal scoring issue that they seem to have at the moment. The draw in midweek against QPR, Bodvarsson was on the score sheet thanks to the help of a bit of deflection in that one, but it's another game where I can't see all too many goals being scored, to be honest. Middlesbrough themselves were disappointing in midweek. It was probably their worst performance of the season so far. Obviously I watched it away at Deepdale. For that game Middlesbrough left a lot of gaps for Preston to exploit in that back line, and I feel like this is going to be a bit of a sort of like Neil Warnock back to basics performance. They have been shipping more goals recently. I think the injury to Dijksteel really has affected them defensively. I think they're much sturdier with him in that back line. And for a score prediction for this one, I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw, and FIFA's going to agree with me. Next up, we then go to Forest up against Brentford. Now, for Forest, the fixture list doesn't get much easier going into this weekend's action. Brentford, the side who are unbeaten in their last 10 matches, with a win this weekend, that could see them going into the top 6 as well. It's two sides who are fighting for very different things at the moment. Actually, if the results go against Forest, they could find themselves in the relegation zone, which in December, for a team which is as capable as this Forest side, it's been an absolute shambles of a season so far. It was another game in midweek where it was a frustrating outcome, and Emi Buendia deflected shot from outside the box ends up going in, and Forest ultimately come away with it from nothing. We touched on Bryce Samba a few weeks ago, and I said I didn't think he was the same goalkeeper that he was last season. It was another pretty poor performance from him in midweek. The first goal he conceded, I thought he should have done a lot better with. You know, the same can be said for that Reading game as well. So I'm interested to see if Chris Hughton does persist with Samba, or if he gives him a bit of time off on the bench just to regain some confidence, I guess, in goal. But like I say, I don't think this game gets much easier for them. Forest are now without winning their last 6 matches. I'm not sure that changes in this one. I'm going to go 2-0 Brentford, and FIFA's going to agree with me. Next up, we then go to QPR up against Reading. Now, QPR would have been probably quite frustrated with the result in midweek. They could have very easily gone on to win that one against Millwall. They took the lead chair with another goal for his tally this season. He continues to impress me, but they let Millwall back into it. Bodvarsson with the equaliser. When chair went off, it was probably when things started to go a little bit wrong for QPR, but nevertheless, against Reading, who they themselves had a bit of a frustrating time in midweek, a 2-1 loss against Birmingham. They'll be looking to put that right in this one. Reading themselves have a few injuries which are starting to stack up now, and without seeing the team sheet going into this game, it's a tough game to predict. If both Yaku Mete and Lucas João are going to be missing for this game, which at the time of recording looks like the real possibility, Reading may struggle for a bit of firepower in this one. You know, if we think the likes of Baldock and maybe a Luca are going to be stepping into those roles, with Puskas still injured as well, it doesn't make for the greatest of readings going forward. I honestly don't think there'll be all too much in it between these two in the end. I'm going to say they'll cancel each other out and it'll finish as a 1-1 draw with FIFA, also saying it'll be 1-1. Next up, we go to Rotherham up against Bristol City. A good result for Bristol City in midweek. We thought that they may have lost their way a little bit after that defeat they had to Birmingham over the weekend, but they pulled it back, to be fair to them, with a really impressive showing against Blackburn. Daniel Bentley, by the way, absolutely fantastic performance once again from the goalkeeper. Where would Bristol City be without him this season? Certainly a lot lower down the league table. He's been absolutely excellent, and this is another good opportunity for the away side to pick up some points in this one against the Rotherham side, who just hasn't quite been clicking into gear recently. I don't know if it's a concentration thing or a mentality thing, but they're just not starting matches well enough at the moment. In the last 2 games they've had, after 15 minutes, they've been 2-0 down in both of them. That was both against Coventry and Watford. The Watford game in midweek, it probably could have been more than the 2-0 in the end. That maybe flattered Rotherham a little bit. They just didn't get up and going at all, and the performance they put in against Bournemouth a few weeks ago, that 2-2 draw, that seems like an absolute age ago now with some of the showings they put in recently. So for a score prediction, I think I am fancying Bristol City for this one. I'm going to go 2-0 to the away side, with Thief saying it'll be 1-0 Rotherham. Next up, we then go to Sheffield Wednesday up against Barnsley. Now, for Sheffield Wednesday, they are now firmly rooted to the bottom of the Championship. It's another big game that's coming up this weekend against Barnsley. Now, Barnsley's record against Sheffield Wednesday in recent years hasn't been the greatest, so if you do believe in this sort of thing, there's a bit of hoodoo surrounding this fixture. 2009 was the last time Barnsley picked up all 3 points against Sheffield Wednesday, so Wednesday may have a bit of an advantage in that sense, but creativity has been their real issue lately. Creating clear-cut chances has been an obvious issue. It was, you know, on show once again for that midweek disappointing performance they had against Huddersfield. Is someone like Izzy Brown maybe coming back into the midfield the answer to some of those creative issues? He is someone who likes to take up the ball in the final third, looks to make things happen. I don't know, it's an idea perhaps, but Barnsley, they did win in midweek 2-1 against Wycombe. Lovely finish by Callum Styles then in the second half, each side having a penalty. Coley Woodrow with his 6th goal of the season in that game. I feel like Wednesday may grind out a point in this one. If I had to back either side, I'd be going to Barnsley, but I feel like they may get a point from this one. I'm going to go 1-1. FIFA's going to say it'll be 1-0 Wednesday. And then to finish the day off, we got Wycombe going up against Coventry. When these two sides met last season, it was Coventry who came out on top, beating Wycombe by 4-1. Now, in midweek, Coventry got not the worst point in the world, a goalless draw against Luton. They've actually been pretty decent lately. I think that Yamu and Walker have formed a decent partnership in the absence of Matty Godden recently. They've been scoring more goals with those two, and I think they are just starting to really kindle a partnership together. For Wycombe, on the other hand, their last 4 home matches have all had either 1 goal or less scored in them. So the first goal in this one, I think, is absolutely vital. Whoever goes on to score first in this game, I think probably goes on to win it, to be honest with you. It does have sort of a 1-0 either way feel to it. Coventry are coming into this one, like I say, on a decent run of form. They're not unbeaten in their last 6 matches. And for a score prediction, I think I am just edging to that away side, you know. I'm going to go 1-0 Coventry, and Thitha is going to agree with me. Like I say though, first goal in that game, very important. But guys, there we have it. Those are my score predictions for what I realistically see happening over the weekend in terms of the championship action. So to get yourself involved in the prediction league and to get involved in the next video, all you need to do is leave your score predictions in the comments down below. Make sure to leave them before a game has been played as well, to be included. But other than that, thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure to leave a like if you want to enjoy, and subscribe for a bit of regular championship content. But other than that, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you all in the next one.